A night of celebration in one of India's biggest tourist hotspots ends in just unimaginable tragedy. But was this just a horrible accident, or was it a symptom of something much, much deeper? Today, we're going to dig into whether the devastating Goa nightclub fire was a tragedy born from failed regulations. And this is the number at the very heart of it all. 25. 25 lives just gone in a single night. You probably saw the headlines. They were stark, and they were immediate. A deadly fire, an international party destination, and a death toll that just kept climbing. This is the event that grabbed the nation's attention and started raising some really urgent questions. So here's how we're going to break this all down. We'll look at the tragedy itself, then the local rulebook that should have prevented it. We'll examine the systemic breakdown that seems to have happened, the official response, and finally, why these regulations matter so much. Okay, so first up, let's go back to that fatal night. What exactly went down inside the Birch by Romeo Lane nightclub? The fire broke out just after midnight at this really popular club in Arpora, North Goa. And the victims weren't just tourists out having a good time. They included the club's own kitchen staff. The human cost was immediate and just absolutely devastating. So, what caused it? Well, local police believe the initial spark was a gas cylinder exploding in the kitchen. And as our sources note, accidents like this, they're unfortunately not that uncommon in India, which immediately makes you question the safety protocols, right?
What happened next was just a complete cascade of failures. You've got about 100 people on the dance floor, and chaos just erupts. In the panic, a lot of people rushed downstairs directly towards the fire source and got trapped. To make everything worse, the club had this one single, narrow exit. Firefighters couldn't even get in easily. It's just tragic. Most victims didn't die from burns, but from suffocation while they were trying to escape.
So, of course, this begs the question, could all of this have been prevented? To figure that out, we've got to look at the rules in Goa, and more importantly, who's supposed to be enforcing them. Okay, so at the local level in Goa, everything really comes down to these government bodies called village panchayats. They're the ones who handle village administration, including things like permits and safety. And if you're not familiar with the term, think of a village panchayat as basically a local town council. And as you can see from their own official charter, they have some pretty significant power, like approving construction and, this is the key part, taking action against buildings that are built illegally. And look, these powers are spelled out crystal clear. They can hand out licenses for restaurants, they're in charge of public health, and here's the most important part, they are explicitly empowered to demolish any structure built without a permit. The authority is right there in black and white. But, having rules on paper is one thing. Actually enforcing them, that's a whole other story. And this is where things take a really critical turn, revealing this massive gap between the official regulations and what was actually happening on the ground. And this slide, this really gets to the absolute heart of the problem. On one hand, the rule is totally clear. The panchayat can demolish unpermitted construction. But then you have the reality. According to a local official, a demolition notice for this exact club had already been issued, but that order was rolled back by higher officials. So the system knew there was a problem, it had the power to fix it, and it just didn't. And this isn't just a one-off thing. Reporting from the Associated Press makes it pretty clear that this is part of a much bigger pattern. Regulations are often poorly enforced across the country, officials sometimes cut corners, and it leads directly to these kinds of terrible safety hazards. So after a tragedy like this, the focus immediately shifts, right? What was the official response? Let's get into the aftermath and the calls for accountability. Okay, so some immediate actions were taken. The state government kicked off an inquiry, the police filed an official complaint that's known as an FIR against the nightclub's owners, and the club's manager was arrested. From the top, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the incident deeply saddening and also announced financial compensation for the families of those who died. Now, from the other side of the aisle, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi didn't mince words. He called it a criminal failure of safety and governance and demanded a totally transparent investigation. And back on the ground in Goa, a local BJP official, Michael Lobo, basically acknowledged that this might be a wider problem. He called for a comprehensive audit of every single club in Goa to make sure this doesn't happen again. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it all boils down to that crucial, life-saving link between having rules on the books and actually following through on them. At the end of the day, the Goa fire is a tragic illustration of what happens when safety regulations are just words on a page. That gap, the one between policy and practice, it can be absolutely fatal. And that's why this is so incredibly urgent. As sources point out, these kinds of accidents are just tragically frequent. It really underlines the desperate need for authorities to not just write the rules, but to actually implement and enforce strict safety protocols. And all of this leaves us with one final, really difficult question. When a system that's designed to protect people fails so completely, when rules are ignored and demolition orders just disappear, who really bears the responsibility for those 25 lives that were lost?